Yeah, so meanwhile, you can start with your introduction and what's your experience and education and all. Yes.
So my name is I have like 5 year experience as a QA automation engineer. So in starting phase, I used to do a manual testing, and then I learned the automation, like how why it is so important in the software industry. And I have learned automation, and right now I'm working as a QA automation engineer. And I have a master degree, and also throughout my experience I have learned so many tools, so many frameworks which is basically used in the automation testing. So I can say for automation testing right now I'm using Selenium with a Selenium WebDriver with TestNG. Also we are approaching the we are doing the accepting the BDD approach. So I'm using Cucumber. Then for mobile testing I'm using APM. I'm also doing the API testing as well as database testing. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Okay, fine. Great. Yeah, so can you just explain me more bit about your framework? You are using the Cucumber framework, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so can you just how the framework is built and what the classes you are using and all, please?
So in Cucumber, the main purpose of using Cucumber is just like collaboration between the technical and non-technical people. So in Cucumber, we have a feature file, which is basically written in the Gherkin language, like simple type of English language. So there are some keywords like given, when, then, and, which are like accepted by the BDD approach. So using the feature file, we can mention all the features, then scenario, and inside the scenario, we can mention our test cases. And we can implement those test cases in the step definition file. That's totally a logical part. So like non-technical people can easily understand the feature file. Then we'll see that how many, like, is there any tests we need to cover, or how much test coverage there is, like how much test coverage. And if there is anything need to change, then we can change in the feature file and we can implement in the step definition file. Also, there is a runner class. So in Cucumber, we can also run our step definition file using JUnit as well as TestNG. So right now in my current framework, I'm using runner class in a TestNG. So in TestNG, also we know there are so many benefits, like parallel execution is also possible. So using TestNG, we can like run those test cases parallelly. Also in Cucumber, like right, there are so many different approaches we can defend, but right now I'm using BDD. And also in runner test runner class, we need to define the like path of the feature file, also path of the runner file. And we also can include any extent report we want to generate after the execution done. Uh, and there is one more thing. If we want to use TestNG with the runner file, then we need to extend, implement one interface. There is abstract TestNG, yeah, abstract TestNG Cucumber interface. We need to abstract, and then we can. We also need to add dependencies like Selenium dependency. We need it. Also, we need TestNG dependency. Then we need a Cucumber Java dependency. All those dependency also we need it.
Okay, fine. Okay, suppose I want to do the data-driven testing using the
Mhm.
Cucumber. So how you can achieve that?
Using what? Data-driven
Uh,
testing.
yes, using Cucumber framework in Cucumber itself. So how you can achieve that?
So data-driven testing can be possible in, there are so many ways, like using properties file. We can create a properties file using a properties property extensions. Also, we can use a data provider, at the rate data provider annotation. And also we can do that using JDBC. Like if I have a data in the database, then I can use JDBC. Also in Excel, Apache POI, Excel, we can also do that, like get cell data, get row data. We can read and write in the Excel. So there are different ways to do the data-driven testing.
What is scenario outline?
Scenario outline. So basically there are so many test cases which I want to run like so many times. The particular test cases I want to run so many times with a different parameter. Then I can use the scenario outline.
Okay, fine. Okay, do you know the hooks?
Yeah, after method and before method, those are hooks. Actually, if we have any precondition before running our test cases, then we can mention the hooks, and after the execution, if we want to close the connection or close the file which we have opened in the data at a time of data driven testing, then we can also use the after method.
Okay. Suppose you are working on some framework. So what are the prerequisite and what are the post-requisite?
Prerequisites, I can say, if I want to set any cookies, if I want to set any header, if I want to give any parameter in the URL, also I can pass the parameter. Then if there is like any URL that have given by the developer that we need to launch first, then I can do the further testing. That is also considered as a like I can set my driver basically. Also, I can set my path in like before method annotation I'm using right now. Then for the past, we can close our connection. Like if there any file open, if the database connection I have opened, that I close the connection. And also the browsers open, like there are multiple browser open, then I use the quit command, and single browser I use close command. Those are post requisites.
Okay. So what are the benefits to use the Cucumber?
Cucumber, so there is a different approach actually.
Mhm.
So I have used like REST data driven approach and also BDD. So like basically what happened in our company that they want to sometimes what happened, the non-technical people don't understand that did I cover all those scenarios or not. So like
Okay.
it's actually written in the requirement document, but how do we figure it out that like it doesn't matter I have written 100 test cases or 1000 test cases, but it just matter that did I cover all the scenarios which have been given in the requirement document. So for that point of view, I'm saying that the Cucumber is the best framework. Like it's just a collaboration between the non-technical and technical. So
Okay. Fine. So for the Selenium, how much you can rate yourself out of 10?
9 or 9.5.
Great. Okay. So what is Selenium and what are the advantages of that? And how you can compare with the other another tools. Nowadays, lots of tools available in the market, right? So how Selenium is much more comfortable instead of other one.
So first of all, I would say that Selenium is a like automation testing suite, which have four different components. That Selenium ID is just like we can record something and we can play that recording later stage. And also remote control, Selenium remote control, which is already deprecated nowadays. And Selenium WebDriver, then Selenium Grid for the parallel testing, like cross-browser testing, cross-platform testing. So, and the other thing, Selenium is compared to the other tool. So there are, I know about the QTP, that is also automation testing tool. So there are some drawbacks in the QTP, which are covered in the Selenium. Like in Selenium, it is really easy to set our testing script. Like we just need to define the driver path. And nowadays also we don't need to define the driver path. We can use the driver manager, and after Selenium say after Selenium 4 or 4.5, even we don't need to write the driver manager. It will automatically find the specific browser. Then in Selenium, there are so many facilities. Like if I want to test the frames, if I want to do any particular like keyboard actions, then mouse actions, Then in Selenium, also in Selenium also compatible with the TestNG. So I can also use all the TestNG benefits. Then Selenium also we can integrate with the SQL to do any CAPTCHA testing. Also, there is a ZZing, like Selenium doesn't support the barcode, but we can integrate the ZZing with the Selenium. Selenium, we also can integrate with the Jira. So there are so many advantages in Selenium that whatever we can see on the web pages, we can test that. And if there is some drawbacks, we cannot test that, then there is a JavaScript executor. We also can use it in Selenium script.
Any limitation?
Yes. So I just mentioned that we need to integrate SQL, right? So like Selenium doesn't have any predefined method to test the CAPTCHA, or it doesn't have any, like in WhatsApp, we say that when we want to download our WhatsApp in other device, then we need a barcode. That barcode we cannot like test using Selenium. We need to integrate with the other tool. Then parallel test execution, we need to integrate TestNG. So it doesn't have their predefined classes or any interfaces which will help us to do parallel testing. Then Selenium we cannot use for desktop. That's the main disadvantage, that we cannot test the desktop application. It just support the web application, right? Then Selenium has like in WebDriver, there are some times what happened. I have faced so many times that sometimes I'm not able to click any button, or sometimes I'm not able to pass the text. So that time we need to use JavaScript executor. So like sometimes dynamic web element is very difficult to handle using Selenium WebDriver. Then mobile testing also we cannot do that. We need to integrate APM for the mobile testing. Then sometimes handle frames in Selenium, it is very difficult. So like we need to switch every time. Then when we want to handle the windows, that also like there are so many line of code we need to write for a particular session ID. We need to get it. Then we can go into that browser, and then we can test that browser, right? Yeah, those all are
Okay.
disadvantages.
Okay. Right. Okay. What are the different locators have you used in your framework and why?
So there are 8 different locator, I would say. ID, then class name, link text, then XPath, CSS locator, tag name. Those are the locators available inside the Selenium WebDriver. So I would prefer to go with the ID because it is always unique. But when we have a dynamic element, then I would prefer to go with the customized XPath, like a CSS selector, that a customized XPath. I mean customized locator. And also I would go with the XPath, because in dynamic, like there are so many times it happened that some of the attributes having the same ID, like inside a frame, some of the attributes having the same ID number or text, whatever inside the ID. But it is better to go with the XPath when we have a dynamic element, because it's always unique.
What is different between CSS selector and expert?
So
And which one is prefer according to you?
I always go with the XPath. So there is actually both have their own advantages and drawbacks. Sometime like XPath is sometime like it's particular element or tag name changing very frequently. Then we can go with the CSS selector. Like CSS selector have their own, like I can use tag name with ID, then tag name with class, tag name with attribute. Also I can combine like 3 different locator, like tag name, then class and attribute all together. And in XPath also there are so many different like differences, like I can, if there is like particular element changing frequently, then I can use XPath axis, like parent preceding, and then parent sibling relationship. I can figure it out that what is the exact location of this particular attribute. And in XPath also we can mention the different attribute and then tag name. And also XPath provide different methods like contents method, start with method, normalize space method. So all those method also we can use at a time of sometimes when we have a dynamic element, then I would go with XPath. I prefer XPath first.
Okay, fine. Suppose you want to do the right click, okay, using the Selenium. So which method you are using for that?
For right click, so basically it is a mouse movement. So we need to create an object of actions class. So I would do like actions, then actions is equal to new actions, and inside the new actions constructor we need to pass the driver, like which I have created. Web driver is equal to new Chrome driver. I need to pass the driver, and for to perform the right click there is a context click method. So I can use that actions dot context click, and inside the context click, whatever the button I want to click, I can pass on that constructor.
Okay, fine. How you can handle the alerts?
uh, Alerts, basically it is not an attribute which we can test, but there is so many different type of alert. Like sometimes we see that alert came and it just have a OK button. Sometimes it has a OK and cancel button. Sometimes it is taking the input, and sometimes it's just without input. So for that we have a alert class available. First of all, we need to switch to the alert, basically, because we cannot directly do any interaction with, like we cannot perform any testing inside the alert. So we need to use like driver dot switch to dot alert, and that alert I can save in the particular reference variable. And using those reference variable, I can click like there is a inside the alert class, inside the alert interface, we have a so many methods like accept. It means we are clicking on OK button, then dismiss method, then get text method. If there is any input, then if you want to print that input on the console. And inside the alert also we have our send keys method if you want to
Okay.
pass any input.
Hmm. Okay. Suppose there is one button in the web pages, and once you click on that button, some alerts gets open. Okay, and you have to just confirm that alert. But condition is that like once you click on that alert, an alert will appear after 5 seconds. Okay, so how you can achieve this scenario? Can you just try to build a logic for that?
Yes. So basically there is a mismatch of timing. Like we can use weights there. So there are different type of weights available in Selenium WebDriver: implicit weight, explicit weight, fluent weight. And also we have thread.sleep method, which is coming from Java. But I would go with explicit weight all the time, because there is a specific condition we can give, and we also can save our time. Like in thread.sleep, basically it will wait 30 seconds. It doesn't matter, it will show after 5 seconds, right? But in explicit wait, until and unless the condition is fulfilled, it will go and save the last like 25 seconds. So I would
Okay, so
use waits there.
yeah, so what the condition you are using for that?
uh, okay, so it is not present at a time, right? You said.
Yeah, so my question is that like once you click on the button, right, one pop-up gets appeared, but condition is that like pop-up gets appear after 5 seconds. Okay. So you simple write the operation for the alert, so it give the exception. Okay. But if you handle that, what the logic you have to write over here?
Okay, so there are two types of weight I can use. Like implicit weight, there is a driver dot timeout dot implicitly wait, and then I can pass the duration dot of second, and 30 second basically. I just passed. And then in explicit weight, I can just create an object of WebDriver wait, and then I use like wait don't until expected condition, like and then I can also pass that visibility of element located by, and then I can pass the
But
path
yeah,
there.
yeah, but there is no visibility of element, correct?
Yeah, it is not clickable or it is not interactable, or sorry, I can you please repeat
Okay.
your question again?
Okay. Yeah. So there is a one button on the web page, correct? And once you click on that, once some alert pop-up gets appear. Now clear? Okay. But there is a one condition. Once you click, after 5 seconds, it will appear. So problem is that like you are just writing a script like alert class and some methods, right? So it gets failed. You throw the exception because it appear after 5 seconds, right? And Selenium, once you click and it not get appear, then it's throw the exception, right?
Okay,
So
I
what?
got it.
Hmm.
So when I know that 5 second, after 5 seconds it will appear, I will go with the thread dot sleep. I will wait for 5 seconds, and then I will perform the actions again.
Okay, you have to use the WebDriver weight like a explicit weight, and in the condition you have to put like a alert is present, right? Alert is present.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once the
There is a
alert get
method alert is present. Yeah. Okay, got it.
okay,
Yeah.
hmm, okay, okay. Do you know what are the different exception in the Selenium?
Different exception in Selenium, right? So there
Hmm,
are so many exception I have got throughout my automation
mhm.
career, that WebDriver exception, that is the main exception, like when we don't define a perfect path, or when the connection is not established, then we get, then stale element exception, element not interactable, element not visible, uh, then uh, no alert present, then no window, there is a no window alert,
No
no,
such window.
yeah, no such
No such
window,
window.
then
Hmm.
no
Okay,
such
fine.
frame.
Okay. So what is tail element reference, right? Exception?
Stale element reference exception we get at the time, like when the specific attribute is no longer attached to that particular HTML DOM, or it has been modified by someone, then we get the stale element reference exception.
Okay, fine. Okay. How you can capture the screenshot? Which method you are using for that?
In Selenium WebDriver, there is a sorry, there is a screenshots text screenshot interface. So
Okay.
we can use the text screenshot, and inside the text screenshot there is one method, uh, uh, get screenshot as method. So we can use that method and take a screenshot, and inside the get screenshot method we can path specific path, which where we need to capture the screenshot.
Okay. What is different between driver.close and driver.quit?
Driver.close, it will close just one particular window which has a driver focused right now, and the driver.quit, it will close all the browser window. So what happened, like driver.close, then after the close, when we like if we want to perform anything, then basically we get like a session ID is invalid. It just becomes session ID invalid. But in quit, it just we get the session ID becomes null. So I always go with the driver.quit because it close all the connections.
Okay, got it. Right. Okay, suppose you are working on some page automation, like a login page, right? And is there any there is a validation message gets fired, like you have entered something invalid or something blank data over there, right? So within automation, how you can verify?
Sorry, can you repeat your questions?
Yeah, so suppose you are working on the login page, right? So you have entered any invalid credential over there. Okay. So it's fires some validation like invalid data or something like that, right? You enter the valid username, something like that. So I have to capture those validation message and validate. Is it correct message or not? So how you can validate that?
Okay. So when we pass like username and password, and then if I put click on the submit button and my username and password is wrong, then I will get an like a username and password is wrong message. You just saying like that, right? I mean,
Correct.
trying
Yes.
to understand the question. So
Yeah.
yeah, and if we want to save that alert, then we can save inside the alert variable, like or we can use that assertions there, that
Okay.
after the pressing on the login button, if we like we can check in home page if there is a logo button, or in home page if there any company name, so I can try to interact with that. If I am successfully logged in, then I can easily interact with the home page attribute. But if I don't successfully logged in, that that time like I am still in the same login button page. And to capture that alert, I can use assertions like assert true. I can use to capture that message. And also I can use get text method there.
Okay. But I have to verify that message. For example, there is one validation called invalid username, something like that. I have to compare that, like it is correct
Equals
valid,
method I can use.
which can you just explain me more?
So equals methods is in the string class. So we can use equals method. So basically it will compare the context of that particular message. So if I am getting invalid username and password, and I can also pass explicitly a message, then I can compare that expected versus actual using equals method.
Is there any way, any other way we can do that?
Sorry, right now I couldn't remember.
Okay. So TestNG provide the asset class, right?
Yes.
TestNG provides. So TestNG have lots of method like asset equals, asset true, asset false, right? So you have to use like if you want to compare, so asset equals, and you have to provide the actual result and expected result, correct? And it
Yes.
will return the whatever get fail or pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So TestNG provide the lots of assertion over that. So using TestNG, you can achieve that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, you know, you in your resume, you mentioned the TestNG. You are working with the TestNG also, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so, how you can set the priority in TestNG and why we require that?
So we can set the priority besides the test annotation, like at the red test, and inside the comma we can sorry, inside the bracket we can pass like priority is equal to 0, or so basically we can pass any negative, positive, and 0 priority. So by default it is 0 priority. And why we need priority is because like sometimes some test cases depends on the other test cases. So I can give an example. Like I need if I want to perform anything on the home page, first of all I need to log in on that web page, right? So I and the test cases it will like execute as a alphabetically. So I need to pass the like a priority there, that I want to launch the browser first, then I can like do login, and then I can interact with the homepage attribute.
Okay. But you are write those test cases in sequence also, you can do that, right?
So basic, no, sequence in test ng is not matter. It will always go with alphabetically. So
Yeah,
what?
so yeah, yeah. So alphabetic, I can say that in the sequence of alphabetic, yeah.
So the one advantage I know that depends method, and the other thing like I always give method name. Like suppose I want to interact with the home page, then I always give a test case method name as like interact with the home page. I will not choose like alphabetically. I like
Okay.
uh,
Okay. And how you set the dependency in TestNG?
uh, there is
And
a depends on method.
okay.
So we
So
can
why
set
we require to do that? Yeah. So why we require to do that?
suppose I have some test cases which is related to regression test, some test cases which is related to smoke test. So at the end of the build, I don't want to execute whole script because sometimes it is take like 2 days, 3 days. And after end of the build, like I want to only perform the smoke testing, then I can basically write inside that, and that smoke specifically smoke test group will execute.
So this is the concept of grouping, correct?
Sorry, can you repeat your question? I guess I just
Okay.
lost.
So my question is that like you have a test case dependency, right? In the TestNG, so we can set it. Okay. So why we are setting that, like it depends on method, is that you are correct on that part. Okay. But sometimes what happen, like some dependent, for example, you have to register and then you can log in with whatever registered user. Sometimes what happen, you have to execute that and registration API gets failed or registration test case gets failed. So what happen? Your next test also gets failed because
Yes.
you are not registered and whatever user you are trying to log in, but it is not registered, then your next test gets failed. So using the depends on method, so you can skip the test case. Suppose the registration gets failed. So once it get fails and some of the another method depend on that test case, so all the dependence test case or method gets skipped once it gets failed. So
Yeah,
that's
I
why we are
remember
using, yeah.
now. Like when we already know that this test case have like a high risk, like it is a
Okay.
critical, then we can use depends on method to skip our different test cases.
Okay, fine. Uh, yeah, so there is a prerequisite and post-requisite in that TestNG. So what are the sequence?
Like annotation sequence.
Yes, yes.
Uh, okay, so there is so many annotations provided by the TestNG. First of all, there's a test suite. So a test should always run once and always run first, and then at the rate first yeah suit, then test, then class, and each and every test annotation before it test before method and after method will execute.
Okay. So how much confident in the Java programming? What your, you can give your
Java,
skill?
Java in I would say 8.
Great, great. Okay. So mainly you are working with the Java, correct? In the automation testing?
Yes, I'm using Java with Selenium.
Okay, so can you just a little bit explain about which concept you are using in your framework and how we want to use that and something like that?
So in Selenium, basically I'm using all the OOPS concept. So we are creating like I'm using page object model like a design pattern. So inside the design pattern, I'm encapsulating my actions and methods. So I'm just writing my uh, attribute like a find by elements dot locators inside the page object model and encapsulating from the my test script. Then there is one this web driver is equal to Chrome driver, right? This is also like inheritance, like web driver, and inside the web driver there are a lots of different classes. So there are so many methods inside the web driver which we have implemented in the Chrome driver. Then there is a in also POM is like a POM design pattern is basically like it's the best example of abstraction as well. It's hiding the implementation. uh, then I'm using overloading also. Overloading, when we do data driven testing and when we interact with the Excel, there is a method like get cell data. And so get cell data, I'm passing different parameters every time. And also I can say implicit wait is also overloaded method example, because in implicit wait there is a different type of timeouts as a like a parameter we can pass. Then overriding method. So like there are so many methods which is available in WebDriver class, we are overriding in the Chrome driver class. Also this all the weights which have already implemented but we are uh, using in our script, this is also overriding. Then actions, inside the actions there are so many methods also. We can give our implementation like the same method name, but we define a different implementation inside the method body. And
Okay. Uh,
constructor, Okay, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Constructor also we are using creating the page object model pages. I'm also using like a constructor, like I'm just defining a private WebDriver driver, and inside like a child driver I'm calling like that constructor using super keyword.
Okay. What is different between constructor and method?
So method, inside the method we can write a logical our logic, and constructor is also a special type of method, but constructor is always same as a constructor name. It should be same as a class name, whereas the method name, it can be anything. And constructor always call when we create the object of the class, but method we need to call explicitly without calling. And also there is a different type of methods, so it depends on which type of method we need to call, but we need to call explicitly.
Okay. Okay, fine. And what about the return type in constructor and method?
Return type,
Yeah.
return type, constructor and method. Okay, constructor never return anything actually. It return type is always void, and in method we can define like all the data types like string, integer, whatever value I want to return. Yeah, that's also the difference.
Okay, fine. So for the Java, so there is a one statement, public static void main and string and some argument. Okay. So can you explain me why we have to return it and what the each and every keyword, what meaning about that?
Okay. So first of all, public is a access modifier, which is like public. When we define like when we write a public as a access modifier, so I can use that method in any class. Like I can yeah, I can use that method any class. Then public void. Void is main method return nothing. So that's why we return type is void. Public void main. Then main is the method name, which is a JV. Whenever we execute our program, JVM always find the main method first and then run whatever the code we have written inside the main method. Then string we are using because string is immutable. So it is like we cannot change the value. So that's why we are using string there. And then specify we are a string array. So we can also, if we want to pass any parameter inside the array, still we can use that. And as an argument, I can use any argument inside the array.
Okay. What about static?
Static. Yeah, static. So static actually main method it is static, because if it's not static, then we need to create an object first, and then we can call the method. But like JVM always find the main method, so we cannot create the object of main method. If it is static, that's why it's calling implicitly. We don't need to call main method.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. What are the different type of constructor?
Constructor. So there is a we can overload the constructor. Overload the constructor. Yeah, we can parameterize the constructor. So there is a simple constructor which execute like when we create an object, and it will implicitly execute. Then there is a parameterized constructor as well. So we need to define the parameter at a time of object creation, and that is parameterized constructor. I couldn't
Okay.
remember the other thing.
One is the default constructor. So do you
Okay.
know what is that?
Default constructor, like basically we don't whenever we don't define any constructor, still there is a one constructor is called default constructor, and whenever we create an object, it will always execute.
Okay. Okay. What is different between string and string buffer?
String is immutable, whereas a string buffer, right, you said? String buffer is mutable. So there is a two separate thing, like inside the string is immutable, but inside the string we have a two different classes, that string buffer and string builder. So both are mutable, but the string buffer is synchronized. So when we want to perform any synchronization operation, we can define inside the string buffer, but its performance is slower than the string builder.
Okay, what is meant by synchronization?
Synchronization. So when we call any method, say synchronization means like when one suppose, can I give example so it will be
Yes,
easy?
sure. Sorry.
So like if there is if I want to book a movie ticket, right? So there are like a so there are so many persons at a time they also want to book a ticket, but if there is no
Correct.
synchronization, then what happened that one element at a time, like all the elements at a time trying to acquire the object lock. If I'm not using the synchronization, then it will try to like access that method which have defined the logic. So synchronization basically, like what happened in synchronization, so it will acquire the object lock, and until and unless I'm done with my process like booking the ticket, uh, until and unless other attributes like other elements, it will not like acquire the object lock. So it will release the object lock, then other element will acquire that object lock and doing that process, and then release that lock. So using synchronization, we can using synchronization, yeah, we can boost the like performance, and also there is any like a duplication thing in our script, also we can avoid that. And there
Okay.
is a synchronization, there is a three-way, I guess, synchronization block method and static synchronization.
Yes. Yeah. Suppose if you want to reverse the string, like your name, like a file, for example. Okay. So you have to reverse your string. So what the logics you are using? Just I want a logic.
For reverse the string, yes, we have a reverse method inside the string buffer and string builder.
Uh,
I can
yeah.
use that.
Suppose I don't want to use the any functions, reverse math or something like that. Then
Okay, then I can use like a for loop. I would iterate with each and every element. I will store it in the character, and then I will print that character doing the decrementation. Like suppose I first like I integer I equals 0, I plus plus sorry, I less than whatever the object I have defined, and then I plus plus. First I have incremented, I have read all the characters, like suppose P A Y A L, and I'm storing that character like one by one character, and then I'm doing the reverse process and
okay,
store it
fine.
in the variable.
Okay. Okay. So in your resume, you mentioned like you are working with the API also, right? So can you just explain me what is your framework and what the task you are working on API side?
Yeah, so API is basic. API is stand for like application programming interface. So what it do, it will help to communicate to two different component or software. So I have used JDBC API in my career, that when I want to interact with the database using the Java code, then I can use JDBC. I have also used REST assured API to do the API testing. Also, I have used Postman. Then there is a, this is like a Selenium WebDriver is also known as API. So that is also I have used to do the WebDriver web page testing.
Okay. Suppose you are doing the API testing. So what you validate? What the component you have to validate?
So I would validate the body content. Like sometimes, like if I have a book to validate, then I will validate the book page number, and page number contains 10 context, suppose. Then I will validate that the page to have a 10 context. Then I will validate the header. I will validate the cookies. Then there is a HTTP status codes I can validate. Yeah, those all things I can validate.
Okay, fine. So for the REST Azure, you are using the REST Azure, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you just explain me how the framework you built and what methods, classes you are using for that?
Okay, so rest assured by default it will support the BDD. So there is a like a given, when, then, and keyword I can use inside the rest assured script. So
Mm-hmm.
inside the given, basically we write the prerequisites. If I want to set any cookies or set parameter, set browser or something, I can write inside the given. Then when we are using especially for the request, like HTTP request, if I want to perform any operation like get, post, put, delete, I can write inside the when. Then we are using then for validation. If I want to validate something, as I just mentioned that what I do for validation, we can mention those inside the then. And end is basically the two same type of request. If there is a like more thing I want to perform, then I can use end in between that. So rest assured, for rest assured, we like there is a some dependencies we need to add. Like if I want to give the content type in JSON format, then I need to add in my Eclipse like a JSON format dependency, XML format. So it supports so many different dependencies. Also rest assured we can use with TestNG. So I can like define the my annotation in rest assured also, like test annotations. And if I want to log everything in rest assured, there is a method like log.all method. Then there is a content type method, like in which format I'm passing the content type. And in rest assured there is also collection. It is the best thing in rest assured. Then if I want to send my like whole testing to my peer, then I can send the collection there. Then in rest assured, like basically there is a how I write my test script, like rest assured dot given, and then inside the given I'm writing like dot when, dot then. And if there is any end I want to use, then I'm logging all the thing on the console. If I want to log all the data in file, still like I can do that using log4j or Splunk there. So I can use that. And then there is get, post, put, delete. Do I need to explain like
No,
get,
it's fine.
post?
Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, so what about the JSON path? Have you used?
JSON path? Yes. Like when I try to interact with the browser, that time I have given the JSON path is basically the URL. Like we can pass the attribute and value there.
No, no, I'm not talking about the URL. So JSON path is a one of class in the REST Azure. So have you used that?
No, I haven't used that.
Okay, so how you capture the response? Suppose, for example, once you hit the API, right? Post send request to the server, and you get some response, right? And in the response, I get some IDs, some message. So suppose I want to validate those things. So how you can do that using Test Azure?
Uh, s- so basically, I can use that when I integrate TestNG, I use the assertions there for the validation. And actually, I validate the thing in API testing using Postman. So I never interact with the
But
JSON.
yeah, but how you can use the Postman in Rest Azure? Postman is a manual things, right? So you can just hit and, or you can do the JavaScript test. You can return it Postman itself, right? So then you
Yes,
can achieve. But within a REST
yeah,
Azure,
like
how you can achieve?
automation thing.
Because ultimately we have to capture the response, whatever we get from that API, right? Then we can validate using whatever you can say TestNG. But firstly, you have to capture that.
Yes.
So that's why we are using the JSON path. Okay, so JSON path is one of the class in the REST Azure. So using that class, you can capture or get
Yes.
all the response, whatever you get, and then you can validate those things. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I will
Okay.
read about it.
Yeah. Do you know the Pojo class?
Yes, Pojo is basically like there is a like there is a no static method. Yeah, there is no abstraction inside it. It's just a simple class known as a Pojo class.
Okay. Okay, no worry. So you mentioned that you are working with the SQL as well, correct?
Yes,
SQL.
yeah.
Okay. So just give me just logic for that. Let's suppose I have two tables. One is the employee table and one is a salary table. Okay.
Mhm.
And I want to find employee number. I can say myself Nero. So
Mhm.
my employee is a three, and my employee name is Nero, and my salary is something like that. Okay, and I want to find the second highest salary, which from my okay. In the table there is a 10 values, and I got the second highest salary from all employees. Okay, so I want to find the second highest salary in the table. So how I can do that? Just give me the logic. What you are using for that?
Okay. So there is a two different table. One has your data like ID name, and the second has a salary and all things. Like,
Salary, yes. For yeah, so one table like employee ID, employee name, and employee department,
so is
whatever.
there any relation between those tables, like four and
Yes,
three? Or
yes. And in salary table, so in salary table, salary ID, employee ID, and salary for that.
okay. Hmm. So basically, so there is a relation in between these two table. So I can use like select star from the table one and second highest salary, right?
Okay, just forget about two tables. Only I have one table. Okay, and I want to find the second highest salary. Then
Mm, can we do sorting here? I trying to
how how you can sort?
basically ascending and yeah, the ascending and descending order we can set. Like there is a order by query I can run order by in ascending or descending order, and then it will set all the salary in ascending or descending order, and then I can uh yeah, then I can use logic that for the second highest salary. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
Okay, okay, no worry. Okay, just keep it. Okay. So, do you know the Jenkins pipeline, CI/CD pipeline?
Yes.
Can you just little bit explain how your framework is integrate with the CI/CD?
Okay. So I have never got a chance to create a CI/CD pipeline, but I know
Okay.
like how my company using, and I'm also getting
Okay.
from Jenkins.
Okay.
So
Fine.
basically, CI is continuous integration, and CD is continuous development or deployment. So in Jenkins, like whenever developer changes any code in the local repository, it will push on the remote repository like a GitHub, and it will automatic using that CI/CD continuous integration. It will effect on the Jenkins, and like whatever the modified code, I will get it from the Jenkins. So whenever developer do any changes in the automation script, I always get the like a fresh build. So if there is any changes happen, then I can use that. And also in Jenkins, like when developer like package their whole application, it will come with the all the dependencies.
Okay. Fine. Do you know the Git?
Yes.
Okay. So why we are using that and what are the different commands you are using for it?
Okay, so Git is the version control system as we are using like with Jira. So there is a init command, then push command, then so if then remote in the local repository, first of all I will initialize that init command. Then if I want to push any my project local to remote, then I can push. Then if I want to get any project from the github, then I can use the pull request from the github to git. And there is a Yeah, I guess there are 4 or 5 commands I have mostly used.
Okay. Okay, fine, fine. Okay. So you are working with the agile methodology or whatever?
Yes, agile methodology now. Yes.
Okay. So can you just brief about how the agile and what are the scrum modules and what are the different ceremonies you are using?
So in agile methodology is basically like continuous improvement. So uh, like in agile methodology that when we get the build, suppose like we have a whole application, then in application we have like a daily meetings. There are a scrum meetings like a daily meeting, then scrum retrospective meeting, then review meeting. uh, so all these meetings I also be a part of all these meetings. And first of all, whenever we get the requirement, we product owner, then developer, then a scrum master. There is a scrum master is the main duty in the agile methodology. So scrum master, tester, and developer, we all do the estimation that like how many sprint and epic we need to create, like in the whole application, like in the whole build, there is a uh, yeah, how many sprint we need to create. And also we choose that what will be the API we gonna use in this upcoming testing. Also we can define that libraries, is there any third party library we need to use, we set up the environment, all those things. And also in agile methodology, there is the best part is the like customer can change their requirement anytime during the sprint. Also during the sprint, if customer like also during the sprint we are doing the daily scrum meeting. So in daily scrum meeting we also share our thoughts, like if there is anything I have found that it is not for the quality of the product, then I can also share that. In review meeting we also review the documentation, like whatever we have created, like whatever I have created for the test cases. Also in retrospective, uh, we'll discuss that what will be the like best thing we can, what will be the best approach we can do for the next sprint. And yeah, I guess that's all.
Okay, fine. Great. Okay, so I think Payal, I'm done from my side. So do you have any queries which I can answer you?
Yeah, sure, I have one
Yeah, please.
question.
Okay.
So, based on this interview, what will be the things, like what will the area you think like I need to approve to, I need to approve, so it can uh, it can be the like a best candidate for this position. What will be the area I need to approve?
Okay. Yeah, good question. Yeah. And that's called the feedback. Okay. So basically, your core theoretical part is nice, and you know the all the concept mostly. I feel that from standpoint of Java, Selenium. Okay, so some bit of to learn more on the some scenario based questions, right? Someone you do some like a situation, and you have to handle that situation. So how you handle according to your 5 years of experience in the real when you are working in the real industry. Correct. So those kind of question you have to more prepare. Apart from that, on the backend side, API testing, right? So you know about the REST, that's a very good. And just improve on that part, like some practical things, how it can work more and more, how you work with the, like I can say the practical things and all the scenario, what the real situation happened, what are the challenges you are facing, right? So yeah, first step is get completed, like you have done all the theoretical concept, you know, Java's concept and all this. That's a very good. Okay. And now to try to implement each and every concept practically. Okay. And I know you face some challenges, right? But try to figure out that you have the Google, right? So you can easily figure out the solution and all. Okay. And SQL side, so just try to create some queries, practice some queries. Like I asked the second highest salary, right? So what you have to do, you have to do the inner query, right? So first, what you have to find the highest salary using the max function. Okay, so math function is there in the SQL, right? So first you have to select max salary from the table. Okay, whatever table is there. And then you have to write the same query, select max salary. But the condition is that whatever we get the max salary in the inner table. So just put like a less than something like that, right? So just forget the whatever max and you get the max salary, but not that max salary, something like that. Okay,
Yeah,
same
sure.
way
I
you
will.
have to, yeah, so same way you have to do the programming in the Java, some programs based on the array, based on the string, right? So interviewer asks to that kind of question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
anything else?
No, that's all from my side.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
yeah,
for your time.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
It
Thank you
was
so much for
really
your time as well. Yeah,
it was really like it will be really helpful
yeah,
for
sure,
me.
sure. Yeah. Okay, anytime. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah, have a good
Have
day.
a nice day,
Bye.
you too.